This specific breed of Merlin migrates down, it's actually the California border. So they'll migrate all the way down south, more inland of us. We have 2 Merlins that you'll be able to find here in California. So this specific bird would migrate more inland.
Merlins are a bird of prey. How many birds of prey are there?
Oh, good question.
Well,
I'm
lots
really
of
not sure.
species.
There's
Of
a lot
course,
of
North
species,
America is
yes.
different than in other
Yes.
parts of the world.
She's a falcon in particular.
A
That's
falcon.
a type of bird of prey. Falcons are more streamlined. They're quicker flyers. They don't tend to be as heavy.
Mm-hmm. Well, she certainly is a beautiful animal. And
gorgeous bird.
while you put her away and bring out one of these others cute, I want you to tell me about these pelts that you have here, because, of course, these are from roadkills. You're not
Correct.
advocating anybody wearing furs.
Absolutely not.
And you also are showing them, this looks like a skunk to me.
That's a very easy one. That one's a skunk. This is a fox. This is a gray fox.
Now these are animals that these birds might eat?
Well, the great horned owl would catch the skunk. It would catch the raccoon. This is a small fox, but probably not the fox.
So these are pretty
They're
large
big.
animals, and the intent in your educational programs of showing these different furs?
Since we can't bring the actual animals to the children when we do programs, we like to bring these. They also like to touch. We allow them to touch these furs gently. Since they can't touch our birds, they can touch these. We can.
This is coyote.
That's a coyote, yes. We
and
still
of course
have a lot of coyote
quite
around.
popular throughout the country as well.
Right.
And they've learned to adapt to the human presence.
Yes,
Right.
they do very well in the cities.
And we really want to keep all these animals in the wild.
We do. We want to keep them in the wild, and we want to keep their populations. The people think that they're pests a lot of times, but they do a lot of good. They eat a lot of rodents. They keep our rodent population down. The skunks and the raccoons will eat snails and grubs. The possums eat the rotten fruit on the ground. Again, they eat the grubs, so they're a benefit to have.
Who did you bring here? A very small bird compared to our previous bigger ones. Another owl?
This is another owl. This is a very special little owl. She is a burrowing owl, and we think of her as being special because her numbers are dropping very rapidly. She lives in the ground, and because of habitat loss, their numbers are dropping very, very rapidly.
Being in the ground means you really have to have that wild habitat because
Correct.
people are walking all the time. Of course, if you pave, build, where's it going to burrow?
Right. Most of their population is in the Imperial Valley, and as you know, they're doing a lot of construction.
And is it going to turn its head for us? Okay. And the eyes, I noticed that it's got the yellow around the dark. Is there a significance to that? Or
Well, some
just helps
owls
it out
have
to
yellow
see?
eyes, and some owls have darker eyes. The more that they're yellow, the less well they see at night. The barn owl, which has the very, very black eyes, sees much better in the dark. This is what we call a diurnal owl. She's afraid of the birds back there. That's why she keeps
well, then
looking
let's
back.
put her away
But
and get our final
she's up
bird that
during
you've
the
brought
day
out.
versus at night. She's the opposite of our great horned owl.
And this is a full-size
This is
burrowing
full-size,
owl. So they're smaller, but they're good to, as you say, to keep down the rodent population, particularly on the ranches.
And they eat a
and the
lot of
farms.
insects.
Insects?
Yes.
Well, that's the natural pesticide, insecticide. I mean,
Right.
we don't have to use toxics.
We wouldn't have to if we had all the owls out there.
Now, your organization takes these animals to schools, to clubs, to any kind of event to let people know that we have some incredible wildlife that are our neighbors, really.
And we need to learn to live with them. They're there for a reason.
But I know that when I call your number, before I can even reach you on the telephone, you give advice to people what to do if they find an injured animal.
Correct.
So let's let everybody know, because I think a lot of us are worried if we see an injured animal, we're afraid that we might pick it up and harm it. We don't know what to do. Or you even say don't put it in a box.
Oh, I'm sorry. We say do put
Do
it
put it in a box.
Do put it in a box.
Okay, that's why we want to get this
Put it in a box
clear.
and keep it warm, dark, and quiet.
Warm, dark, and quiet.
If it's dark and quiet, it calms them down. Because a bird can't see in the dark, so they stay calm. That gives them less stress, so they're less apt to be running around. If they're injured, they're not going to make the injury worse. if they're, hungry or sick, it's like you or I, if we go run around the block and we're sick, it's going to make us worse. That way, it's going to kind of give them a little reprieve until we can take the bird in.
Now, obviously, if people are not in Southern California, they can't call you to do it, but there are rehabilitation rescue numbers, so to speak, throughout the country.
Correct.
And
right.
they just have to call their animal shelter and get referred to people who are experts at handling the birds, because this is different than finding an injured dog or cat. And of course, we have the animal hospitals, and not every veterinarian is familiar with handling these animals.
Most aren't.
Most aren't.
Most
So you
aren't.
have your specialists.
Right.
Who do we have?
This is Houdini. Houdini is a western screech owl. These little owls actually require dense forests. These birds live inside of holes in trees that have usually been cleared out by a woodpecker or another bird called a flicker. That's where they eat, sleep, and have their babies. So with the forests being cut down, it's kind of taken away their homes.
They're threatened then.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're threatened. They're
Well,
not
if they keep doing that kind of action.
definitely, yeah. They're not endangered by any means. Their numbers are staying pretty stable, but if it gets any worse, then that is losing their home.
So we do
basically.
have to protect them.
Definitely.
And they are so cute.
These,
But we might not see them in the wild because of the camouflage,
and the size.
the size. We can walk through the forest, and there they are. We don't know it. We only see them when they're injured. And you have done such a tremendous job caring for these animals. It's like you can't take a vacation because they
No.
require 24-hour care. And the numbers are constant. People find them injured and they call you, you pick them up, and
Yeah.
This is spring,
have to
and this
really
is our
give them
busy
love and attention.
Yeah, this is our busy time of year, and we're getting 40, 50 phone calls a day in spring from babies that fall out of nests. Or
And you're volunteers.
yes.
So this is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And you have to know what to do. You have to know each one
Mm-hmm.
in terms of their needs, in terms of their food, in terms of what to do.
Yes.
I'm very impressed by your work.
Oh, thank you.
If you can, how long does it take to usually rehabilitate one that you can put into the wild? We only have a few seconds left.
It depends on what the bird is. If it's a baby, it has to grow up, so it might be a couple months. If it's an injury, a fracture, it might take a couple weeks to a couple months to heal, and then they have to have flight time to re-strengthen those muscles. So it's just all depends on each individual bird. Some come in just for a few days and they're fine, and then they can be released.
And you have your favorites?
Here or just in general? Here I'd have to say Click.
And
behind us.
why?
She's a doll. She's a joy to work with. She really is, and she's great with kids. So I can't hate that.
It's certainly obvious that you love your work, you love helping these animals, and they are so beautiful. And I want to thank you so very much for bringing them to the studio to share with more people. And thank you so very much for being my guest.
Thank you. For
Thank
inviting
you.
I have been speaking with representatives from South Bay Wildlife Rehabilitation, Christina Jones, who is the Assistant Director, and Jen Feyder, who is the Associate Director. And for viewers who would like more information, please call or write. On behalf of our nonprofit organization, Educational Communications, I'm Nancy Perlman, wishing you a natural, unspoiled environment.